One of the ways we can make our artwork more exciting and visually complex is to vary the contour of our subject matter. In this case, my subject matter is this bird. Contour refers to the outer edge of shapes. Now, the interior of the bird, in this case, shows us some of there's a wing, right? And there's feathers. So when I say outer edge, I don't just mean the outside or the outline of the exterior of the bird. I mean the outer edge of all the interior shapes too. Hopefully that makes sense. Or you could think of it like the eye. So like the edge of the eye, it has contour because the eye is a shape. I want to specify that because as I start drawing this bird, I will start with the exterior of the bird. Part of being a great draftsperson, which means being good at drawing, is being good at seeing. We have to see things as an artist sees things. So when we look at this reference photo, we want to recognize the expressive contours that we see on all the subject matter. That includes the bird and even the branch. To do a contour drawing, we keep our eyes on the reference photo. So I've moved my reference photo out of the way, but it's right in front of me. We draw slow, and we really pay attention to those subtle changes in contour. Proportion means how big one shape is to another. So like how big is the head compared to the main body of the bird. So we do want to be aware of proportions, but even more important is that I'm paying attention to changes in contour. So for this particular drawing study, that's my focus, changes in contour. I'm deviating now into the interior of the bird to establish part of the wing. Usually when we do a contour drawing, we want to keep our pencil on the paper and try to draw with a slow and continuous line, which is why contour drawings often have the appearance of like loops, or the lines are loopy, because when the artist gets to the end of a particular contour, or when you're finished, like here, I'll do it here. So I go in and I want to describe that contour, then I loop around and I travel back, not along the same line, but along like a second line. And so often contour drawings have that loopy appearance. So do your best to draw with a slow and continuous line. Now why slow? Well, because if you go slow, chances are you are doing what you're supposed to do, meaning keeping your eye on the reference photo, on the subject. So you do have to glance at your drawing from time to time, but try to keep your eye on the subject as much as you can. This bird has these really interesting like striations that make up the feathers. So I do have to lift my pencil from time to time to change positions. Something else you can try is using what we call varied line width or varied line weight, and you can do that by changing the pressure that you put on the pencil while you make a line. So in that case, what I was doing is I start off by not pressing very hard, and I press harder, and then I ease off on the pressure again. And so what happens is the weight of the line changes from light to dark, but so does the thickness, because as I push harder on the pencil, I'm using more of the graphite on the paper. Where would I do that on my drawing? Well, great places to do it are where the contour dips inward. Maybe right here on the head. So I can actually go back and add that line quality variations. That refers to line quality. But I could also do it while I'm drawing. So now I'm pressing really lightly, and then now press harder, and then light, press hard, light. This adds more variation, more variety to your artwork, which equals visual complexity. But by varying the weight of the line, I can also start to imply a little bit of three-dimensional form, so a little bit of realism. So it's all about changing the pressure that you put on the pencil, controlling your drawing tool. Transitioning now to the branch that the bird is sitting on. Maybe zoom out a little bit for that. It's easy to use a continuous line on the branch because that helps me to create some of that really expressive bark texture. So go slow, keep your eye on the subject. Vary your line width and weight. Don't worry too much about proportions. Do your best. The focus of this study is more on the contour of the shapes. We can also use contour lines to indicate changes in value, so that this bird has that tuft of darker value on the top of its head. And so I indicate that the separation from the dark value to the light value with a contour line. So you can see in my version here that the head is actually a little bit too small in proportion to the body. So if I was to make any change, I would want to do that. But this is a contour drawing, and so that's common in contour drawings for us to see some inaccuracies in proportion. So I'm not going to worry too much. I mean, I could go back in and remake the line if I really wanted to. Nothing wrong with doing that either. Okay, so don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to proportion and the realism of the bird. Do your best, but really focus on those expressive contours.